the background. Then clean your brush in the water, bring some water here, add a drop. Now I move on with the darker blue. I am going to add ultramarine blue. If you have cobalt, would be okay as well. And any blue you have darker, it's okay. Even ultramarine is not much really dark. I prefer to have a little brown, dark brown like burnt umber, mix with it to make the blue a little bit darker than the color we already have. So these two colors are ready. Now I clean the brush. For background, because it's bigger space, I recommend just a bit wet the paper. Even if your paper is not 100% cotton, if it's 25% cotton, it's easier to let the background move everywhere when you wet the surface. Just be careful not touch the cat, outline of the cat. Just please, with the clean water, wet the surface. If you work with acrylic, it's not like that. Just mix the blue with white and make the blue darker with the black. Directly come to the background and add on a surface. And be careful not touch the cat. If you work with watercolor, it's a little different. We need, first of all, wet a little bit paper and start with lighter color. So start with this lighter color, apply on paper. We work as a layers. So start with lighter color first, and then if we need to add more darker tone on top, we will add later. So I'm going to work with 100% cotton. So when I wet the surface, until I finish hold the background, it kept the water on top. So it was wet and give me a chance to have smooth surface. But 25% cotton, it's dry faster. You can add more watery brush in between to help it blend together light and dark, or you can add in between some water, so it's okay. For background, please use bigger brush stroke like that to cover easily. And now I just want to not let it dry. I want to make some nice technique. So clean the brush very well. It's wet, it has a water inside, so straight. I just add a drop of water on a wet surface. And this technique can affect when it's wet. When your paper is dry, nothing happens. So add drop of water and then leave it. The water can absorb and a little bit make bigger and make some beautiful, like a star and beautiful texture. So I'm going to start with this one, diluted, hold the brush into that, touch of napkin, control it, the amount of water on my brush, and start with the ear. I see here is dark. It's a creamy, not much dark. With the tip of brush, you can control, make it a little like a line. So keep here white, completely white. Like that. Be careful if your background is wet, not touch any more your background. Even you can use hair dryer to let your background completely dry. Very gently. I'm going to add a little brush stroke on forehead. Because the background is wet, I don't want to let it move into the face. Hold the brush. You need to be more friendly with the brush. We have hold the hair, we have tip. The tip of brush is good for details. The hold the brush, the belly of the brush is good for all the shape of background that we want to work. So it's the first layer, it's the light color. And I'm going to use more hold the brush. Keep some parts really white, but we need some lighter creamy, like that. I move with the tip, come down. Napkin, and under the neck, like that, bring some stroke, like this. Just a big brush stroke. And even a little bit darker here I'm going to add. And then keep this part white. Bring another brush stroke like that. You can play with your stroke with a tip to make it some liney like that. Just play with your brush stroke. It looks like a fairy hair of the cat. So it's easy to do it right now. Then later. Just use the tip, make some line, and then keep in between white, like this. That's enough. Again, control it. Continue under the neck, little bit should be light, and even move on with the tip to make it liney, like this. As I told, we use hold the brush and we use tip of the brush at the same time. And again, back to this. We need the same on this part. I just go with like a brush stroke. And then leave it. We need like a tiny narrow triangle on the ear. Try to add. Keep some space white in between and add some really dark on top. Play with brush stroke to make the narrow line with the tip of brush. I try to use directly tip of brush and take my hand like this, straight to the paper. That helps my line get narrow. Or you can use very narrow brush, smaller brush. And draw one line here, make it thicker. Now on forehead, we try to shape it a little bit thicker, but always use the tip to make some look like a fairy hair. Keep in between, be visible of the creamy color. Come here. The top is more dark, but in between is lighter. Use the tip and make it like fairy hair. And I'm going to add really not watery brush this time. It's dry, it's more dry brush. more with dark color on this darkness, but please keep the creamy color be visible, not cover all the part. With the same shape that you make, now we can make it by darker color. But still, the light tone is visible. In some part, bring it up with the tip to shape the fairy hair. Randomly just, and then keep it like that. I mentioned less is more. We don't work a lot in watercolor. You can have the same, some brush stroke with dry brush like that here. Dry brush, you can control it by napkin, so you don't have a lot of water inside. When you gently touch the paper, it's already make something like that. Some part is dark color, some part is livid, so it's already make like a reddish brown. It's another brown, it's burnt sienna. It has a little feeling of red inside. If you have, you can do, actually mine is light. I'm not sure yours is light or not. But if you want to bring another color, and if you don't have burnt sienna, you can mix a little red with your brown. Just a bit red, this red with the brown give you something like that. Control it by napkin, but it's better to be a little watery. Just one touch very gently. One time, not more, because in watercolor you can, I mentioned less is more. Just one brush stroke would be enough. And then I think a little bit of this one I need inside this part of the ear and a little bit here. Or this part, just a touch. Because mine is too light, the base that I make. It depends how much light and dark you have. Okay. Now we can move on for features. I'm going to add the eyes. When we add the eyes and nose and mouth, it comes out, and then you'll see how much light and dark we need to add. So please do those with smaller brush. Even better to do with the pointy brush. If you have, it's easier. Small brush like this kind of brush. So for the eyes, the same as the rest, I'm going to start with a rounded, which is yellowy greeny. And at the end, I'm going to add the really black color on top. So it's a feeling of greeny and here a little brownie under. So we already have the brown, it's okay. For the green, depend what kind of green you have. It can be hooker green, it can be sap green, light green, any green you have, it's okay. Even if you like the blue eyes for cat, you can use that. I'm going with the light green color with a smaller brush. Try to cover this part very gently. And please have a napkin. Anytime you're not happy with any color, just when it's wet, pressure, lift up, not rub it. And now I want to move on with brown. Little bit, touch of brown. Interesting to have. draw on top of the line that you already draw it by pencil. Just a touch of water to help your brush move easily. I'm going to add the C curve like that. Make it straight. And connect this one here. On the top is a little bit thicker, so please make it just more thicker. But on the bottom is narrow and they reach each other here. So we need to have a straight dark color, move a little close to the nose like that. So for inside the eye, the pupil, because there is a shine inside with a white color. You see here, both shine, it's like a white color inside. If you have acrylic, so it's more easy to cover it with just the black, let it dry, add a drop of acrylic white color on top. If you don't have acrylic, I recommend to keep the paper white. So I just draw the circle. I try to keep inside just white color of the paper and color the rest. But if you have acrylic or gouache, that's easy to cover it. And then after it gets dry, you bring the white color on top heavy and let it make the shine. I just very gently shape around the nose. This one is more narrow with narrow line. When I come inside here, I just make a triangle as a hole to make it dark. Triangle as a hole, cover it more. Like that. And then draw the line in between. I just make this nose lighter because I want to show you the hole that I make and the line. After this black color get dry, with one brush stroke with darker brown, I come on top and make the nose a little bit darker than this because it should be darker. And then with the line, I make the mouth just a bit. Tiny triangle here between these two curves. Make it that. I'm not follow with this dark color. I just keep those lighter tone and just this triangle make it look like a mouth. You can use this finger, small finger, to control it. It's much more easier. The other side. You can see this really narrow line. Now I recommend to go with the white color. If you have acrylic or gouaches, both are okay. We need the watery brush. And if you have acrylic brush is easier to do. If you don't have it, it's okay to go with watercolor, but make sure clean it so fast. It's a stick to your brush. I'm going to add a little bit white into my palette and bring drop of water to make it runny, because the runny brush stroke is easier to move. Again, it's narrow brush. And now, same technique that I did for the whiskers with dark color, I try to do it by white color. Sometimes the thickness should be more. Really easier to do inside this dark color because the white is visible. Oopsie, it gets thick, but that's fine.